Okay, so the muscle we are analyzing today is the flexor digitorum, which is broken up into the uh, superficialis and profundus, which are front and back respectively. And this is the muscle that allows you to move your fingers and open and close your hands. So let's see what it has to offer. So this muscle is located in the forearm and starts at the top of the arm in the ulna and radius, which is seen here. And it moves down the arm and spreads out into your fingers or the phalanges, which, yeah, I'm sure you know what fingers are. But yeah. Now I know a lot of you are wondering, how does this stupid little muscle even make my fingers work? And let me break it down for you.
So the muscle, which is located here in the like the bottom side of the forearm, is uh, is connected to the tendons here, which branch out into your fingers, which are connected to each of the joints. So what happens is the muscle, when it tenses, it will tighten up and create it will increase its tension, and because of this, it will pull on the tendons here, and that will cause these tendons in the fingers to be pulled back in towards where the muscle is tensing as well. So that will cause it to close. So like, see here, if I flex my forearm here, you can see the tendon popping up here, which is connected here, which will cause it to curl in.
Wow, beautifully said, me. So, moving on to part 2 of the video, we have to see how this muscle plays a role in a sport. And actually, the sport we will be doing today is badminton. Yo, I wonder how the fingers could play a role in badminton. Let's see. I'll hand it off.
For badminton, we like to swing with most parts of our body using all the parts together. Like a chain, as we rotate from our hips, extend to our upper chest, we can swing and generate lots of power. But what some people don't seem to realize if they're not accustomed to badminton is that we have a lot of power in our fingers alone. And it's a very big change using our fingers compared to knots. What I mean by using our fingers is, imagine my hand is my racket, and I'm holding it here, and I'm swinging with my wrist. My fingers are not moving, I'm just swinging. It only has that speed, right? But if I were to keep these other 3 fingers open, as I swing, I could bring them, and as I do so, my racket is not as close to my hands, but then my fingers can snatch it at the end, which allows me to get that much more power. The reason for this would be that our fingers as levers, my index is an example, we can see that the longer side has more power. So it's all the same here, but the longer the finger is, the more advantage I have. If I were to use just this much as a finger, that's not that much more. This is much more. This is not that much. And so we like to use all of our finger to grab on to the racket. Yep. Thank you.
So, for anyone who still may be confused, let me break it down for you again. To figure out how the physics behind a badminton racket actually works, you need to realize that the way to make the birdie go like as fast as it possibly can is through conservation of momentum. So what you need to do is accelerate the racket as fast as it can, because momentum is equal to velocity times mass. Well, you could try to maximize how fast you swing your arm, which is kind of a recipe for disaster because that leads to pulling like shoulder muscles, and it's a whole mess. You could squeeze the racket, but how does this actually work? To understand how this technique works, first we gotta understand something about levers. For those who don't know, a lever is a simple machine where you put in a force on one side and it'll give you a different force on another side. And it consists of three main parts, which are the pivot or the fulcrum, which is where the lever is like balanced on, the effort, which is where you are putting in the force, and the load, which is where the output force is coming from. And by moving around the effort, fulcrum, and load, we can actually split up levers into three different classes. The first class of lever is where the load is on one end, the fulcrum is in the middle, and the effort is on the other, such as these scissors here. My personal favorite, the second class lever, is where the effort is on one end, the load is in the middle, and the fulcrum is on the other end, such as this wheelbarrow here. And the third and final class is the third class lever, where the load is on one end, the effort is in the middle, and the fulcrum is on the other end. And even though this one kind of sucks because the mechanical advantage is always less than one, a lot of uh, levers in our human body are like this, like uh, the just like the forearm, where the hand is the load, the effort is coming from the muscles in the middle, and the fulcrum is your elbow. So, thanks, third class levers. So, now that we know the three different classes of lever, which one is actually being used when we're swinging the badminton racket? So, to find out, I set up this little experiment where instead of having a racket, I have this cat toy, but it'll suffice for this scenario. But as we can see, it is actually a first class lever because the bottom fingers, as seen here, are pushing on it, and the top pointer finger is actually acting as the fulcrum, and all the force being generated down at the bottom is being uh, the output at the top, which is the load. So now that we've pieced it all together, we now know the physics behind how the optimal badminton swing works. So first, the muscles in your forearm tighten, which causes tension along the tendons, which causes your fingers to curl, which that curling causes a force to be applied to the racket that you are loosely holding, and that force acts as the um, the effort for our first class lever, which is the racket, which rotates on the fulcrum, which is the pointer finger, and the load, which is the force that comes out on the top, hits the birdie. So now your form is technically the best possible form according to physics. Yay!